Hello, everyone, and welcome to our discussion on the best practices for recording commissions in ProCloud. My name is Brad, and I'll be hosting the demonstration today. If you have questions during the webinar, feel free to enter them into the questions pane on your GoToWebinar panel. If the question is outside of the scope of today's discussion, please email them to support@designmanager.com. Lastly, if you miss a portion of the webinar or want to review any of our past discussions, go to our YouTube channel at Design Manager Inc., Design Manager INC. And here's a complete listing of all sorts of topics, including our quick start videos, short helpful tutorials, and our comprehensive webinars, which we categorize into our project management and accounting courses, along with all of our weekly webinars as well. Now, many times our client experience team gets asked how ProCloud is designed to process commissions for your design team and or your salespeople. So that's what we're going to be exploring today. In conceptual terms, the ProCloud commission system is all based upon the goods and services that are actually invoiced to the client. As the client invoice conveys the physical and fiscal transfer of ownership of the merchandise or provided service, its creation triggers a myriad of accounting transactions and as such really becomes the perfect catalyst for the realization of any appropriate commission. Now, in practical terms, the commission system begins with some simple configuration on the employee window for each applicable team member. So let's check it out. Jump over to our ProCloud. We're going to go to our employee glossary. And let's go ahead. We'll edit Benjamin Grace. And on the employee window, we want to go to our POS showroom tab and input the employee's commission percentage into the commission percentage field. Very simple. Now we have our desired commission percentage recorded. How does an employee get associated with the actual invoices? Well, in a few different ways. If you have assigned a team member as the project manager on the project window using our Timeless Townhome as an example, you can see on the project window, the salesperson project manager has already been assigned to Benjamin Grace. Now, if you do provide commissions for design projects, you can enforce an employee being associated with the project manager, as we see here, by going to your company information and settings, click on the Advanced button to get to the Company Advanced Options window, and on the General tab, you can select the Require Manager option. This will force you to associate an employee code with each of your projects. Then be sure to click OK to save those changes. Now, okay, so fantastic. Benjamin has been assigned to our project, etc. So when we go to make any invoices for the Timeless Townhouse, let's go over to our client invoice window. As an example, we'll add an invoice and we'll pop in that project. As soon as we select it, we can see that Ben is already designated as the project manager on the particular invoice. Now, this can be changed, however. What if a situation arises where a different team member is responsible for the goods and services for a project that's usually under a different manager, Ben in our case? Well, you can simply switch the employee. I can change this over to Eli just by selecting a different employee code here. And now Eli would have this invoice listed as part of his commission system. Now this leads to another thought. What if two or even more team members are both lead or equal designers on a project? No problem. You can creatively add an employee that represents both or all of the team members. So in this case, we've created an employee that's going to represent any project that both Anna and Ben work upon. So we've created an employee code to handle those situations as well. Great. Now, for those of you who use the point of sale system to record in-store purchases, the association with a team member's employee is even simpler because you actually log into the point of sale system using the employee's code. So on our accounting tab in the point of sale, you're going to actually enter in Ben's employee code to log in. And upon doing so, you can even see the employee associated with the code, knowing that when I process this point of sale invoice, Ben will be the one who, again, is attributed to the sale for his commissions. Which leads to another thought. What if a team member has a different commission percentage for design projects versus point of sale invoices? Again, no problem. Let's log out here, back to our employees. You can actually create a second employee that represents the point of sale login. So Ben has his Grace employee that's going to be assigned to all of his design projects, which may have a particular commission percentage, 15 in this case. But he also has one for his point of sale login, which has, in this case, a lower but different commission percentage as well. So any project that Ben brings into the company will have his Grace employee associated with it, but when he logs in for a point of sale in-store sale, he would use his GBPOS employee code. Again, very simple, just using the system in a little bit more creative way. All right, so that's a pretty in-depth review of the necessary configuration for the calculation of the commission. So how do we actually review those commissions? Very simply, just by running the commission reports under our accounts receivable reports. So under our accounting tab, here's our AR or accounts receivable reports. Jumps us right down to our accounts receivable folder with all the reports listed beneath. And about halfway down, you can see the commission report. As I've mentioned time and again in our webinars, if you find a report that you find particularly useful, always be sure to use the add to favorites to put it on your favorite list, so you don't have to hunt through those hundreds of reports that we have offered to find the ones that you need. So let's get ready to review our commission report, and we'll see the various settings and ranges that are available to us. First is the starting and ending fiscal period. Well, what period are we running our commissions for? Are we running them for every month? Do we run them for every quarter, etc.? We have a few ranges to narrow the scope of the report. You can run the report for a particular project or projects, or even more commonly, for a particular salesperson or a project manager as well. We have our inclusions. So in the commission calculation, you can selectively include or exclude various component types, freight, labor, etc. You may not want to have freight included into your commission calculation, or perhaps not installation or labor. I've seen it very common where only merchandise and time, design time, would be included into commissions. What you don't see here is an option to include or exclude merchandise. That's simply assumed to be into the commission, so that one will always be displayed no matter what. Now you have a few other important selections. First, the commission by. Does your firm calculate commission on the total sale price of the goods and services, or only upon the profit of those services and merchandise? A big consideration, as you can imagine, and it would drastically change how much commission is being provided. Another very important consideration is the only invoices paid in full. When selected, this setting will show invoices that are fully paid in the selected fiscal period. When this is indicating that not only has the client been invoiced, but they've completed the transaction by paying in full as well. So the goods have been delivered, the services rendered, and the client's paid in full. Bam, it's time for that. At that point, the commission is ready. If this is not selected, the commission report will list all of the invoices posted into this fiscal range, regardless of whether they have been paid or not. So as you can imagine, a very important consideration there. And finally, there's the ability to include or exclude point of sale invoices for those of you that do have in-store purchases as well. So let's run the report with all the default selections, but we'll back up the fiscal period to say we're running our commissions for last month. Go ahead and fire away. Now, let's make this a bit larger. And let's jump down to Ben's version, or Ben's page, as he has a few more invoices listed. So right away, we can see that we're going to both subtotal and page break by employee, in case you want to print out the copies and hand them to your employees. They wouldn't see the other team members' commissions. We can see the commission percentage, our ranges, and our desired fiscal period. And for our columns, very simple. We have our invoice date, the invoice number, the fiscal month of the invoice. Now notice, we can see that these invoices were created and posted some time ago, but only last month, or fiscal 11 in our case, were they actually paid in full. We can see the project code, the client code and name, the sale amount. This is the invoice price of all included component types. Estimated cost. Let's think of this as the best guess at the current most accurate cost. What do I mean by that? Well, if we've actually recorded the vendor invoices for the good or service, which by the time you invoice the client, you probably should have, it will use the actual cost from that vendor invoice. That's precisely what the vendor charged us. If the vendor invoice has not been recorded, it will use the estimated cost from your specification. So it's always going to do its best guess to get the most accurate there. Further, for the sale of inventory items, it'll use the transferred inventory cost. For time entries, it will use the cost of the employee, etc. So it really does give its best guess of what the cost will be associated with that particular invoice. Estimated profit, obviously this difference between the sale amount and the estimated cost. Profit percentage, that is the estimated profit divided by the sale amount. And finally, the commission. In the case of commission by profit, which was our selection, it's going to be the product of the estimated profit and the commission percentage, as you can see. All of those are then subtotaled for each of the employees and totaled in full at the end. We can scroll down a bit here, see some of the other employees or team members. In this case, we can see Mariah. She actually has a few point of sale invoices. I can tell that right away because she has a showroom associated with it that's indicating that it was a point of sale invoice, and that's her area that she sells from. These are both walk-ins versus project-related point of sale invoices, etc. Further, these would not appear at all if we did not have the include POS invoices option selected. Jumping back, skipped over the very top, here is our dual employee. We can see for both Anna and Ben. So Ben's going to get the commission for his singular design projects that he works upon himself, plus his portion of this joint as well. Again, just thinking a little creatively here as we're associating team members with different projects. So let's run the report a few different other ways. Let's take some of the inclusions out. Let's say we only want to focus on merchandise. And we'll make it a bit simpler just by putting in for Ben. Jump this up a little bit more. And now we can see, if we compare, oops, back to Ben. We can see when having the other included component types in, all of our sale amounts are indeed a bit higher, particularly where now we're excluding freight or installation, etc. So the sale amount is dropping because we're not including those designated component types. So you have that flexibility in there. And of course, obviously the commission would do a corresponding decrease as well. Let's run it again for Ben, but let's do a big change here. Let's jump over to commission by sales. Now we're not generating our commission based upon the profit, but rather by the total sale that we're indicating. And we'll punch back all of our inclusions again. Oops, missed creating. And now if we magnify that a bit and look at our original, we can see Originally, we had commissions 200, 215, etc. But notice now a sizable jump. Why? Because we're calculating the commission rather than on the estimated profit, but rather on the sale amount itself. So now we're taking the product of the sale amount and our commission percentage to generate the commission total. So you can see a very big consideration, of course. Let's see, finally, let's take a look here. Let's run back to profit. Let's change only invoices paid in full to any invoices posted into fiscal 11 and see the difference. So now notice a few things here. Every invoice that we see is going to have a fiscal month of 11/20. As we can see, there they all are. And if we also notice, there's Eli, there's Mariah, Ben's not listed at all for his projects because those invoices, as we saw before, were generated months prior. So in this case, whether or not the invoice is paid in full doesn't matter. It's only the fiscal month of the invoice itself on there. Lastly, any credit invoices would also be included on your commission report, even if the credit is months after the invoice was currently made. So if a commission was generated back in May and then credited 3 months later, the commission report will reflect that as well. So you don't have to worry about those types of minutiae also. And that's it. The commission report gives us all the information that we need to calculate the commission that we owe in a very flexible, user-friendly manner. And that brings us to our end of our discussion on how to use ProCloud to calculate your commission for your company employees with just a few simple configurations and using the really straightforward commission report. And with that, I thank you all for joining the discussion today, and I hope you attend another of our free webinars in the future. Take care and have a great day.